Tottenham losing 3-2 to Aston Villa this weekend. The Spurs said they were going to take a point from the game, but substitute Kirsty Hansen popped up, scored a stoppage time winner for Villa. Spurs had fought back from 2-0 down. Rach, thoughts? Come on, thoughts and feelings. Get it off your chest.
Absolutely gutting, isn't it? Aston Villa love an injury time goal.
For the love of it, 90+1. 90+1 from Kirsty Hansen, destroying Spurs' dreams.
I just think there's been issues that have plagued Spurs all season. Lack of creativity, lack of clinicalness, things we didn't really associate with Spurs that much last season. Aston Villa are also playing with just that little bit more freedom and confidence. Once they put themselves like a game out of touch of Crystal Palace, I think once they got to kind of 4 points ahead of them, they were a little bit more confident in what they were doing, because I think Natalia has struggled with wanting to play her style of football versus playing in a way that just gets the bloody result done and gets you away from relegation. And I think she's struggled a bit because you need time to kind of get a style settled in, and you're going to take losses and you're going to take hits, and she couldn't really afford to do that. So once they put themselves a little bit out of touch and distance, suddenly the team felt a little bit more confident, a little bit less pressure on their shoulders. And I think that's how they played. I thought they started the first half really well and could have had more goals, actually. So I think they took a deserved lead. But then, Spurs did grow into the game. They've just been so up and down.
It's the inconsistency, definitely, for Spurs. I think when you look at where they are in the table now, so they sit 9th with 18 points. Aston Villa on 16 points, 7 points clear of Crystal Palace, whose fortunes, they pretty much look wrapped up, to be honest. But I just don't think I've seen Spurs kind of... I think there were seasons. Was it last season before that? They just looked so exciting.
Last season,
they just felt like, I forget now which seasons are seasons. Like,
I know, me too.
So much is happening.
Yeah,
there was like a season of Aston Villa did really well. And I'm like, was that last year? Was that the year before?
Year before.
And I just don't feel like they found any form. So the last 5 games, they've lost 4 games and drawn 1. This just isn't the Spurs. It feels like Spurs have taken a step back from the progression that we kind of saw them heading in.
But also we should know that when a team has a season like that, it's very difficult to sustain the next season. And
Definitely.
You raise the bar, you raise the expectations, and then suddenly anything less than that is failure. And I do think there's a combination. They failed to deal with the loss of Clinton and Bizet. I don't think they have the team to play the football that they did last season, but they tried to anyway. I think injuries to key players throughout the season at certain times hampered them at the worst times. Like, they weren't out for long, but they were out for bits where it kind of then hampered their ability to gain any kind of momentum or fluidity within their style. Like, Sumanen was out for a little bit. England was out for a little bit. I think Spence was out for a couple of games. And they're obviously very key players. I think Wilhelm's seeming inability to choose between Bethany England and Martha Thomas and working out how to play them, I don't think that's helped. I think he's taken too long experimenting with them. I think at times he played Thomas up front, and you'd then sacrifice the quality of Bethany England by playing her deeper, and I don't think that works. Martha Thomas has been involved in all 19 of Tottenham's games this season and hasn't scored a goal in the WSL.
Well, like you said,
and that's your number 9 that you're relying on doing that.
They didn't even test Sabrina D'Angelo until the 53rd minute.
Bethany England has been involved in 16 games and scored 8 goals. That should, immediately you're putting Bethany England as your number 9, starting number 9. And I just think it took too long for him to try and work that out. Now, I appreciate she's been injured for a little bit, and I think probably that was why she came on as a substitute rather than not starting the game. At least I hope that's the reason. Because I think, missing her has not helped them. And I think when I think back to that Manchester City game that I've touched on a couple of times, they played some lovely football, and I kind of thought, okay, they've cracked it, they've found their form, they've figured out what they're trying to do. They were really good tactically. They were, Bethany England, that was a really good example actually. Martha Thomas started that game in the 9, Bethany England in the 10. Thomas got injured, Bethany England was put up front, within 90 seconds and scored a goal. And then she got injured and she missed out the next couple of games. So there's, they do something good and then they have another run of games where it's like a completely different team. So, and then defensively, I think they have the second worst defensive record in the league. Like, they're leaking goals left, right and centre as well. So, yeah, a lot of areas I think they need to look at.
Well, I think like you said that, Spurs haven't won a league game since January, picking up 1 point in the last 7 matches. Do we think actually this is a issue for Robert? Do we think actually he's not getting the best out of their players? Or actually do we think actually he's going to have to go into summer and start buying up some decent players and rebuilding the squad a little bit? Because it does feel like they've lost their identity and their momentum and like just who they are, really.
I think they've got a pretty decent enough midfield and forward line if you're putting Bethany England in the 9. Defensively, I think they need to maybe do some recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are struggling there. You know, and I've heard murmurings of people, or is Villaham in trouble? Or is there concern about his position at the club? In this bloody league, yeah.
Everyone. No one, no WSL managers are safe. Even
But
Sonia.
I hope not. I hope not. I think it would be too soon and foolish. It's not like they've been much worse than the others in mid-table. Like when you put it into context of the teams in and around them, nobody's wanted to pick up bloody points. Brighton have only relinquished that 5th place this weekend, and they won like 1 game this year. They've not been great, and it's taken that long for the teams in and around them to get them out of 5th spot. Like I think mid-table teams have really struggled this season against the teams in and around them. So within that context, it's not like Tottenham have been so much worse than everybody else. It's just that in comparison to last season, they've not been playing well. So I don't think it's time for the club to hit the panic button yet. Robert has spoken about other things he's had to work on off the pitch and things he's had to implement and bring into the club behind the scenes to improve things. And so it's not just on the pitch improvements, there's off the pitch stuff as well that they take time. So for me, I think it'll be far too soon to pull the rug. I think they need a really good summer window to get players in that can defend better but also play the style of football he wants to play.
I agree. And I think another concerning and really weird fact, so Spurs have never won a WSL match in April. So in 11 attempts, they've drawn 4 and lost 7.
I hate those stats.
That is...
I hate them. They're fucking pointless.
Well,
They've never won on a Wednesday when it was raining while they wore blue. It means nothing. Like, I appreciate that that's a weird stat, but it doesn't mean anything.
But does it? But and when you look at like where April sits in terms of the footballing calendar, it's the month before everything ends. Is it kind of a sense of, I don't know, like, they shit themselves before the end of the season? Is it that?
No, I think it means nothing, personally. Yeah. I just think it's
I like reading into things a little bit more.
Not those kind of stuff. I hate when commentators are like, oh, it's Monday night. They've never won a game on a Monday night when it's been
never won a game
winter.
in a full moon. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and?
Interesting. I really like interesting, quirky facts like that. There's only ever been 4 stars out when Spurs have scored in night games. Amazing. Did not know that. Let's touch a little bit then on Villa. Obviously, Kirsty Hansen, star substitute, coming off the bench and scoring in that victory. This means for the first time since January 2024, Villa have secured back-to-back wins. They're second bottom on goal difference, 7 points ahead of Palace, who are bottom. And Palace's game in hand is against Chelsea, which is, as luck goes, probably the most unfortunate thing that could have happened to Palace at this point in the season.
And also an angry Chelsea.
Yeah, a pissed off Chelsea. Chelsea was something to prove. I mean, what do we think of Villa's run of form? It obviously feels like they're effectively safe, I'd say, unless something goes drastically wrong and Palace pull points out of their bums towards the end of the season. I really do think Villa are safe, but that's not really good enough for Villa.
No, but they've had a very turbulent season, and I think, again, Natalia needs time to actually bed in her ideas, get some players in that she wants. You know, she's had no real handle in shaping this team yet. She's just had to play with the players that she was given when she came in, and she had the added kind of weight of trying to avoid relegation. So I don't actually think we've seen what Natalia can do yet. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit exciting. So I mean, I'm intrigued. I think they can, I'm not going to say it's wrapped up yet, but they need to wrap up this season, stay safe, and, you know, let her go. Let her see how she gets on in terms of summer signings and how she wants to play, and kind of judge her kind of maybe December time.
Next season, Villa. You've done enough for this season. It's clearly not gone.
Maybe win another game.
Yeah, maybe one more. Who have they got?
Aston Villa have to play
Arsenal.
West Ham.
Nice, but not nice.
And Brighton.
That's kind.
There's a win in there.
Yeah, there's a couple of points in there at least. And I feel like, I mean,
in contrast, Palace have to play Chelsea, West Ham, Leicester. Ooh,
That would have been a spicy fixture had they not have been trailing by 7 points.
Yeah,
that was
and-
the fixture that I was expecting.
And Man City.
Yeah, that's
You
not-
thought West Ham Palace was going to be a bit of a relegation battle, and West Ham said, no.
Yeah.
You've underestimated us once again.
I was actually looking forward to Sunday the 4th of May as being like, one, obviously the Manchester derby, but two, the Crystal Palace Leicester, which I anticipated was going to be like the do or die game for both of them. But it now looks like fate has been sealed. Watch this space. Oh, it's commentator's curse, isn't it? Next week there'll be a 5-0 battering Chelsea Palace.